So as Arlene said, I'm Will O'Donnell. I'm the Broadband and Communications Director. I've lived in Jefferson County for the last 23 years, I guess. I've had the pleasure of living in 4 of Jefferson County's very few zip codes. I've lived in Quilcene, I've lived in Port Townsend, I've lived in Chimacum, and I live on Marrowstone Island right now. I've been with the PUD for about 5 years. Started out as the communications manager, and then through a little bit of happenstance, helped them write grants to first study broadband, do some strategic planning, and now to do the construction for our broadband. We brought in about 25 million. And because I know these projects so intimately, I'm now leading a lot of them, which has been very exciting. In my past, I helped found Mount Townsend Creamery and Fin River Farm. I really enjoyed running my own business. And while starting up a broadband division in the PUD isn't really quite the same, it's a lot of the same creative energy and fun of trying to develop this new service, make it something that our customers want, and actually get it built, which is our next challenge. But we're not going to talk so much about that. We're going to kind of have a basic overview. So our presentation today, I'm going to go through a lot of questions. What is broadband? Why are we building? Why would we build broadband? Why the PUD? A number of folks have been asking that. Where and when are we building? What are we offering? Who's doing all this work? And when can I sign up? So what is broadband anyway? So many terms out there. I heard somebody ask, what was the difference between fiber and broadband? Or what's the difference between Wi-Fi and broadband? Broadband is a very, it's not a very well-defined term, or it's actually more of a general term. So is broadband internet? Yeah, broadband is internet. Is it a speed? It can be a speed, but that speed isn't currently defined. When we looked at our projects, the FCC was defining broadband as anything over 25 megabits per second down and 3 megabit per second up. Other projects that we're developing are setting the speeds at 120, 100 by 100, or 150 by 150 megabytes per second. We're looking to build out our network to provide a minimum of a gig per home or business. Is broadband fiber? It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Broadband just means wide bandwidth. It just means that there's enough bandwidth to provide the service that you need. Some folks talk about it as freeway, making sure there's enough lane to get traffic through. The freeway, for me, is a bad analogy just because I think of them being congested and traffic having stopped. That's what we don't want to do. But it's just building enough capacity to be able to deliver the service you need. And having enough pipe to do the job. I love this visual analogy here that shows just how much more, kind of the relative capacity of each type of internet connection. You can see fiber delivers so much more than the pre-existing services, dial-up, DSL, and cable. The actual capacity of fiber isn't even known. Right now, it's known it can deliver terabits of information. Cable internet can provide up to a gigabit down, but a lot less up. DSL is what most of the folks in the county have that we're building new service to, and that's just fiber over a copper phone line. In theory, it can deliver up to 25.3, but many folks in our county are only getting 1 megabyte per second down and kilobits up. Wireless or 5G, those can deliver broadband speeds, but they have other limitations like trees, which we have a lot of, that block service and make it unstable. Why build broadband? Our customers have been demanding it for years. Since I've joined the PUD in 2017, it's one of the most frequent questions of how, people begging us to help them get better internet. In so many parts of our county, folks either have really slow internet, like I said, 1 megabit down, kilobits up, And then there are some folks who, if they're in a certain area and they sell the house and the new person comes in, they're often told they can't get the basic DSL service because that line is oversubscribed. One of the things that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic is we all saw how essential broadband is as a service. We'd been talking for years about, whether or not the PUD had to deliver this service. It was kind of a debate back and forth internally. But as soon as the pandemic hit and all of us were at home and trying to work from home and do school from home and do basic government services from home, it became clear that broadband, and not just internet, but internet with enough bandwidth, was an essential service. And that the need for that service is just going to grow over time. It's grown exponentially, the amount of data that the basic service has to provide. That's never going to stop. So we need to build for the future. And the existing providers in our area aren't expanding to our rural areas at scale. Our bigger providers have picked the denser areas. They've built broadband services there, but they don't have any plans to go to far out in Quilcene, to down on the Coyle Peninsula, a lot of places that the PUD will go to. And why are we building now? There's billions of dollars from the federal government to build broadband, much like there was to do rural electrification in the 30s. The COVID-19 pandemic and all of the related shutdowns has released a flow of funding to build out broadband to our rural areas. And the PUD has to date secured about $25 million to start that project. We're hoping to gather around $40 million to complete it. And that would be building to every rural home in our electric service territory. And right now, the Washington state law allows for us to do retail service. Prior to 2021, we could only provide wholesale broadband services where we could build a fiber to a business, but another business had to come in and turn on that fiber, charge the business, collect the fee. We're in the retail electric business. We're in the retail water business. We're all set up to deliver services directly and send bills and provide customer service. After 2021, we have the ability to do that for internet. Most of our county can't get broadband. Most of the physical area in our county only has DSL services. So there's no wired access for most of our rural areas. The existing alternatives for folks in those areas, like satellite, Wi-Fi or cell phone hotspots, they're expensive. They don't deliver a great service, and they're often unstable. They weren't a solution for the Zoom shutdowns for families that are having two parents at home doing remote work, a bunch of kids trying to do remote school. And thankfully, while many of us are back to work and back to school, we just see we're living in a new era. We're still doing a lot more from home and a lot more video conferences and a lot more accessibility that we need to have that available everywhere. And what we also found is that when everybody was at home and trying to do the Zooming and do work from home and school from home, even in areas that are already served, there wasn't enough bandwidth available for folks to get the amount of service they need at the time. I know when I lived in Port Townsend at the beginning of the pandemic, I had signed up for a 250 megabit service, but in the middle of the day when everybody was home, we were lucky to get 10 megabits per second because the service is so congested, because there isn't fiber to those homes to add that extra pipe capacity we showed earlier. The PUD did a survey. We've done a bunch of surveys. We studied this for so long, but back in 2019, 70% of our respondents said they didn't have broadband at home. Many of them could get it, but they didn't have it. And as we talked about with the COVID-19 Zoom boom, what it showed was just the serious inequities in our county. So many kids who couldn't participate, they couldn't go to school, they didn't have the tools and the technology to take part in the school that was being offered. and we don't want to ever have that happen again. The other part about the Zoom boom, about what happened, about the technology we need now, is that video conferencing requires more bandwidth, and it requires more bandwidth in two directions. That's something new. Even in rural areas, even with folks that have a megabit per second download over DSL, maybe they have 5 megabits per second download, they can watch Netflix, they can do streaming things. What they can't do is the video conferencing when they're going back up. Our commissioner meetings at the PUD, I'm sure others, have been a challenge for the last 2 years because at least two of our commissioners don't have good enough internet to provide a stable signal for that upload connection. And as I said before, congestion was a challenge even for those who had broadband. And I'm sure we've all seen this, you're on mute. And can you see me now? Am I there now? Can you hear me? We've all been through that. So why the PUD? A lot of people are asking this, and it always kind of blows my mind. Why would the PUD get into the broadband business? You're the electric folks, you're delivering water and sewer. Why would you want to do broadband? To me, it just seems like a no-brainer. We already have poles and wires going to every home and business in our territory. We already have you in our billing system. We've got customer service to serve everybody. We've got bucket trucks if wires go down, and we've already got a splice truck to splice fiber. In fact, we've been in the broadband business since 2013. We got a federal grant back then to build 50 or 25 miles of fiber, I think, originally, to connect all of the anchor institutions in Jefferson County. And then we've added since then another 20 miles to connect all of our electrical facilities and substations so that we can operate portions of them remotely. So today we have already 50 miles of fiber throughout the county and over 50 connections on that fiber that are getting service from the PUD. So my question is, why not the PUD? We're publicly owned. We provide local jobs. This service will create more jobs. All of our investments stay in this community. Since we took over the electrical grid in 2013, we've returned tens of millions of dollars back to the community. And service is our benchmark, not profit. We want to give the best service possible and serve everyone in the county. And we have that commitment as the PUD and the publicly owned utility to serve everybody, no matter where they live. And the other thing that we can offer is fair and transparent pricing. We won't be offering, we don't for our electric, we don't for any other service, we won't for internet, be offering 1-year contracts with massive increases after that and inscrutable pricing. Everything will be fair and simple, and all of our rates are set by our publicly elected officials. And everyone is welcome to go to any of the meetings where we set those rates, provide feedback. If there's any part of the service you don't like, you can let our commissioners know at the grocery store half of the time. When the power's out, I hear from people at the grocery store all the time about how they're enjoying our service or how we're doing. And oftentimes people are very gracious and thankful when we get the power back on. One of the things that we've been working on recently is the terms and service for the internet, basically like the iTunes agreement that's like 1 million miles long. We're trying to make ours as accessible as possible. Our commission has been working with the public to make sure that they understand it and that they know what they're signing up for when you get internet service from the PUD. So I just found all these fun little GIFs. I like this guy. So where are we building? This is right here is a fiber plow, and behind that plow is the it's a Discovery-based substation that's owned by the BPA. In preparation for building out fiber, our fiber projects, one of the first things we did is we secured a new fiber pathway off the peninsula. Currently we have a fiber pathway that goes down Port Ludlow over the Hood Canal Bridge. If anything were to happen to that Port Ludlow bridge or to the Hood Canal Bridge, as has happened before, we would have no internet ability coming in. So we wanted to have a second secure pathway off the peninsula. So we've leased access to fiber owned by the Bonneville Power Administration along the transmission line that brings power up from Olympia along the Olympic National Forest and Park. And so here we are in, I think this is in 2020, connecting to that fiber and then bringing that back to our building at 310 Four Corners. Our current projects. Right now, we're not building fiber directly to any homes and businesses. We're doing a couple of test runs with businesses. All of our energy is being spent putting together these big grant projects in these grant project areas, 4 of which we've obtained funding for, 1 of which we're working on to apply for soon. The first one we put together is the Olympic Fiber Corridor. And I'm going to mute somebody's, I can't mute them. All right. Oh, I'm going to go back. Is the Olympic, we'll just go this way. We'll go this way. Is the Olympic Fiber Corridor, and that's building from Quilcene to Gardner and part of Chimicum. And you can see in the zoomed in maps where we'll be offering service. The total project cost is $12.6 million. We'll be offering over 1,000 connections. Total miles of fiber is 136. We hope to start this fall. We have to finish it by the end of next year. It's a huge project. It was funded by the federal government's NTIA program and our Washington State Broadband Office. Our second project that we received funding for from the Public Works Board, Washington State, is for East Discovery Bay to do Highway 20 and Anderson Lake Road. It's a smaller project. It's about $1 million, 52 connections, 8 miles of fiber, and it'll happen along the same time as the Quilcene to Gardner project. The third project that we developed and received funding for is for what we're calling Jefferson North. And that'll bring fiber to kind of this netherworld in between Port Townsend and Cape George and Discovery Bay, and then the community of Woodland Hills, and then Marrowstone Island. And all these areas were chosen because they currently have no access to anything but DSL services. So they don't have cable fiber, from Astound, Wave. They don't have anything more from CenturyLink. So that project's $10.4 million. There'll be over 600 connections, 100 miles of fiber. Oh, I have the old timeline on there. I didn't update that one. We're still waiting for that contract. That project won't start until 2023 and won't conclude until the end of 2024. My apologies. The next project that we're going to be starting very soon is PT Business Fiber. We obtained a loan from the Washington State Public Works Board that has a 0.4 interest rate over 15 years, and it allows us to build fiber to all of our businesses in Port Townsend. We've gotten so many requests for fiber connections to businesses in town who are not able to receive the speeds they pay for and not able to receive a gigabit up in any location. So we have this opportunity to apply for this loan. We just received it, and we're hoping to start on that area very soon. And you can see down at the bottom of you can see the Glen Cove area. We'll go up from there to Fort Worden. And we now, for the PUD in last year, we purchased a new office in the Glen Cove Business Park at the old Mobile Lisa building. That's where I'm broadcasting from now. That's going to be our main fiber network hub that we'll build out from. Southeast Jefferson County covers the rest of the rural areas. This project got delayed. We were hoping to first submit it to the federal government this spring. We'll be submitting it this fall. So it's going to take a little longer to get fiber to these areas. This is the last part of the county that will get all of our rural unserved residents. It's a big one, $13 million, 1,000 connections, 114 miles of fiber. Due to the timing, we probably won't be able to start it till 2024, and it won't conclude to 2026. We will certainly try to get it sooner if we can. That one's in development. It goes to the USDA in partnership with the Washington State Broadband Office, who we're working with closely.
It's cocoa time, Buck.
I see a Barbara, you're unmuted. Okay, so that just going back over the timeline in the next few years, we've been working on contracts, ordering and planning. We're getting equipment in. In October, we will hope October through December of this year, we hope to start some of the construction, install equipment, and we'll be doing our first connections in 2023, continuing on through 2025 and 2026. So what are we offering? Oh, I put a little animation. I forgot that I had done that. It's funny, the questions we get. We'll be able to provide static IPs, all of these things. For the what is this other one? 28 kilobits of internet connection. I'm still learning all these, all the terminology. Ethernet LAN token ring. Yeah, I don't know that one so well. We're going to be installing fiber right to the premise. When I'm premise, that could be your home or business. And if you live in one of the grant project area, there will be no cost to have the fiber installed to your home or business. We will install the fiber right up to your home and then install the equipment inside of your home. In the PT Business District, it's a loan project, so there is a $1,200 connection fee to get the fiber, but we can finance that for $20 a month over 5 years if you need that. In the grant adjacent areas, if you live near the grant area but not within it, we've had so many questions about this, understandably. We're planning on a $750 connection that hasn't been finalized. And we hope to be able to offer some financing terms for that as well. In non-grant areas or non-grant or loan project areas, currently customers have to pay the full cost to receive a fiber connection. That's the way it is right now. Our current plan, the plans you saw just earlier, we're building to 4,000 customers over the next 4 years. And then we hope to use the revenue from that to expand out to provide in other locations. We don't have plans at this point to build to areas that are currently served with cable internet because they have been determined to have access to broadband. And our first goal is to provide service to areas that don't have broadband. I see there's a bunch of questions in the chat. I think I just answered that one about, can you show the entire county map again? By waterway. Yeah, I can go back to let's see. Yep. Yeah, so part of Bywater should be covered. And one thing I should explain about these grant areas is that we had to, in order to be eligible for the funding, we could not build to anywhere that was already served with broadband, which the definition for the funding agencies was anywhere that had 25/3 or better service. So we had to be very meticulous not to plot our maps into those areas. And we also can't build service to anywhere that's received previous federal funding. So in the purple area, that's Quilcene to Gardner. There are some areas that have received funding for subsidized satellite that we won't be able to provide grant funding to. There's some controversy right now that those funds will be withdrawn, so then we would, but that's too complicated for now. Okay, let's see, we have 2 more questions. Let me go down. Will the water side, east side of Paradise Bay from Bywater be covered? Paradise Bay I think Paradise Bay has cable internet. So we're looking at areas that don't have cable. If you live in an area that doesn't have any access to cable, not that you've just not wanted to connect to it, you can always let me know, broadband@jeffpud.org, and we can try to get you into the project area. We have not submitted the, okay, great. Yeah, send me your service address, Adrian Smith, and I will try to get you into the project because we won't be submitting that project till October. Broadband@jeffpud.org. And anyone's welcome to submit questions via email anytime.
Hey, Will, there was an earlier question, and that was, what is the definition of rural that you guys are using?
We're just using non-dense areas, but I think all of Jefferson County is classified as rural. So but right now it's just areas basically outside of the denser neighborhoods or communities that have cable internet. Okay, let me go forward. Okay, what are we offering? Fiber to the premise. We're building a 10 gigabit network. When we first started planning for this, we were actually planning for a 1 gig network. And in the time of our early planning to when we were ready to apply for the grants, the standard equipment had improved so much that we could basically provide 10 gigs to anybody who wanted it. And all of our equipment will be designed to be able to handle that capacity. 10 gigs is still a lot, more than just about anybody can use, even a business. So we're looking at 1 gigabyte as the standard service speed, with 10 gigs as an option and some services in between. The entry-level service will be 150 megabytes up and 150 megabytes down. That's still more than enough to do all of the Zooming from home, get your streaming services, and connect most of your devices. This basic level will be eligible for our PUD low-income discount. That's $20 off the service. And then it will be ACP eligible. ACP is Affordable Connectivity Program. That's an additional $30 subsidy provided by the federal government. So theoretically, a low-income customer could connect for as little as $15 a month and have fiber service. And it'll be really fast. So when we do this, we're going to be providing all the equipment in order to make the network reliable, in order to make it so that we can provide the service at the level that we think our customers deserve. We're going to be providing the routers. We're going to be installing all the components into your home, and we'll help you connect to the service when you do that. We'll also have mesh routers if you want to extend it to outbuildings, or if you have a giant 5,000 square foot home or barn or something like that. And then the company we're working with even has integrated security cameras that we can offer. And the little guy on the right is just the way a lot of people look at when they get all the, when they're trying to buy their own home router and connect everything. We're going to do that for you. So the system will built for reliability. It's an all fiber network. There won't be congestion. We'll have tons of spare bandwidth for everybody that we're building to. If it turns out that one of our networks becomes a little bit congested, we can divide it up and expand it out even further. But with an all fiber network, there's going to be so much capacity. We're also buying top of the line state-of-the-art equipment. We want it to be as reliable as it can be. This is a new service for us. We want it to be low maintenance. So we're buying equipment that'll last well into the future. I think all of our routers and customer equipment start at Wi-Fi 6, and they're backwards compatible as well. Let me see. How will PT Business file? Let me get back to that one. We'll also be offering apps to control your own services, so you can set your passwords easily. And then we have our PUD customer support team for when you need help. But we'll also be getting, because we will own the routers and we'll be installing them, we'll get automatic reports when there's an issue. So we hope you don't have the experience on the right where you call in. One, you can't get anybody. That's the hard part. It's so hard to get customer support for so much internet service, and then you get condescending and often not helpful support. That's not what we provide at the PUD. We live here. We are your friends and neighbors. Okay. So one of the benefits, one of the things I've been so focused on the speeds and the capacity, and not, and when I went to a broadband convention and conference in this summer, one of these guys, one of the guys that set up a previous network, he's like, your customers don't know what the speeds mean. They want to know what they can do with the speeds. So what we're going to be setting up is, this is the kind of the service levels that I'm anticipating that we're going to be rolling out. It's still under development, but for that gig light service of 150 by 150, You'll be able to stream HD video. You'll be able to connect 10 devices. You can do FaceTime, Zoom, Google, all of those things. You can watch TV over the internet. With a gig connection, you can do so much. There's very few folks in the county that have a gigabit up and a gigabit down right now. So you'll be able to stream 4K video, have more than 20 devices, do cameras, do multiple online meetings, gaming if you want it. We're going to have some extra capacity with some additional equipment in the Gig Plus that's listed there. And then if you wanted to do the Gig Max, I believe it is, we'd be offering up to 3 gigs up and down. You can do your own video production company in-house, multiple security systems, and then voice over an internet phone would be available to everybody. One of the questions I didn't anticipate that I've been getting more and more, especially in a lot of rural areas, is there's a lot of folks who aren't used to really fast internet, and they're used to their satellite TV system or used to cable and not sure what they would use the internet for. So one of the questions is, well, how do I watch TV without cable or satellite? And especially local news and sports. We've been doing a lot of research into it for cord cutting options, and there are more and more subscriber services where you get the full package of local TV channels, cable channels, the premium channels, HBO, Netflix, things like that under one service. So we're going to be at the fair next weekend, and we're going to be demonstrating some of those services. So for people that have questions, and we'll be showing off some of the new equipment that we'll be able to install. One of the things that occurred to me in this whole project is that this is going to be a new experience for so many customers, especially customers in our rural area, customers along Anderson Lake Road, who can barely get any internet now, customers out in Beaver Valley, who are struggling just to do email. They're going to have so many more opportunities. And in the coming years, there's going to be even more opportunities. As we know, there's all kinds of AR experiences, VR, the metaverse, things that I'm not completely into myself. But I remember telling everybody I didn't need a cell phone, that was a superfluous technology. I would never be buying one. I said the same about Facebook. What does Facebook do that email doesn't do? Who needs that? So while I feel the same way now about the metaverse and VR, I won't be surprised to find that I am wrong in 10 years and using those services more than I ever expected. So we're building our network with the future in mind. The AR experience is particularly interesting. That's a little demonstration on the right. I also found a neat little video of a online classroom where all the kids are seated virtually in the desks. That was fascinating and scary. Let me go back to the chat. How does this compare with 5G? 5G, at least it was promised to offer very fast internet of 100 megabits per second up and down and more. It hasn't really lived up to that promise, and it has a very, the signal doesn't travel very far. So you can get it in some areas, I'm sure some of you experienced, you can pick up a 5G signal some places and not others. It's same with any sort of cellular system. The range is limited and it's unreliable. So obviously, the fiber signal was reliable in the home, not so much outside of the home. But with more people doing work from home and more opportunities to learn from home, and at local businesses, that's what we want to provide. Okay. So who's working on this currently? At the PUD, there's a small group of us that have been working on broadband. The network and construction of our has been overseen by our GM, Kevin Street. Kevin Street was an early adopter of SCADA technologies, which use fiber to control automated systems on electrical grids back in the 90s, he worked on these programs in Nevada. He was a little bit of a pioneer. One of the first things he did when he became GM of the when he became the electrical superintendent of the PUD back in 2013 is put in a SCADA system. Here at the PUD, we were one of the, in our region, we had it before many well-established PUDs did. Kevin has particular passion and interest for networking equipment and fiber, and I think he just enjoys it. So it's been great to have him on board leading a lot of these projects. I've been the grants lead, project manager, and customer coordinator. And in the field, we've had two of our guys, Colton Worley and David Elias. They're out there stringing the fiber, splicing the fiber, connecting customers. And we have a SCADA engineer named Eric Pryor, and he does all the design and the quotes currently. But currently, all of us are split between many other jobs. None of us are full-time broadband staff members. So we're still needing to hire our team. We've been looking for a network engineer. We're still kind of on the hunt for that job, that team member. And then we're also looking for a couple more. We're going to be looking for a network technician that is going to be able to go up in the bucket truck and do all the splicing. And then we're going to have a couple of network technicians that kind of at a more basic level that'll be going into the home and installing the equipment, dealing directly with customers. We'll also be hiring a network support specialist who works in our office as kind of the dedicated customer representative. He'll be able to see how all the technology is working and help out any customers, he or she, and we'll be able to do troubleshooting and maintain all the inventory. So that's the plan we're going forward with, and we're going to be hiring. We're hiring for the network engineer now, and we're going to be hiring for the other positions in the coming months. The biggest question that I get is, how do I sign up for the service? We're a little bit behind schedule. We were awarded all the funding for our projects, most of it in December and February of last year. We're still waiting for contracts from the state and federal government. Until we get the contracts, we can't break any ground. So timelines have been pushed back a little bit, and so have our sign-up process. We hope to be signing folks up this fall. We're getting more indication that those contracts are coming soon, and we know that we'll be able to build in Quilcene and in Port Townsend by the end of the year for sure. So that sign up, when it's available, it will be on our website under the broadband tab. We'll have a new line item that'll be the sign up for the service, and we'll be contacting everybody in the project areas to sign up. And that is my presentation. Whoa, 10:45.
That is amazing. Well, there's a question in the chat. How will PT Business Fiber program work? They currently have what they are stating is inadequate wave service.
Yeah, so we'll be opening that up this fall. When we open up the registration, it'll be similar to signing up for fiber service anywhere else. You'll go online, you'll let us know that you want it. You'll select the level, if you want a gig, if you want more than a gig, and the price. And then we will be delivering that service in 2023. We won't be connecting people one at a time. What we're going to be doing in order to bring the cost down of each connection, we're going to build to the entire area. And then as we complete sections, we'll be connecting the businesses within those areas who want the service. And I'll be putting out lots more information as it goes on. And folks can always send me an email directly, broadband@jeffpud.org, or they can call at 360-385-8369. You can hit me up on Facebook, or at the food co-op, or at the QFC, or anywhere else I might be hanging around.
So there's a couple more questions. One of them is, please send me a copy of your presentation so I can send it out to everybody that's been asking me for that right now.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and because there's great information, I know they want to go back and see it. A couple of other questions are, I think you answered brilliantly, and your maps will show it, and I can send out your presentation. But you know, the federal governments have all these programs for funding broadband, and a couple of the questions are, you know, how when is your funding from government going to run out? And is that 2023, 2024? Is there a timeline on the grants you have now where completion is necessary?
The only grant that has a tight timeline is that Quilcene to Gardner project. That has to be complete. The construction has to be complete by the end of 2023. The rest of them, the timelines are all 2024, 2026. So we have enough time to complete those projects. That first one, we're going to be hustling. Luckily, we've got a lot of great local contractors that we work with already. We're going to be hiring lots of them to do the work of digging in the ground to bury the fiber and string the fiber and help us out.